Hello, everyone. This is Steve Wishnack, your presenter for today, and welcome to Think and Do, where we challenge you to think a little bit differently about the way we conduct library business. I see that we have 25 participants already. There may be some more coming. So I just want to go over a few things with you before we begin. First of all, if there is something you have a question about during the course of this hour, there is a chat box, and please enter your question or comment in the chat box, and I'll be observing and trying to respond as quickly as possible. At the end of this session, the presentation will be made available to you all in a PDF format. So please give it maybe a day or so for it to be up on your website. But it will be made available very shortly after the presentation this afternoon. Today's session is on customer service at the library, cultivating loyal library customers. Those are the kind that are the most valuable, the ones that keep coming back. And we're going to focus on how we can deliver what I call M&M service that's meaningful and memorable. Meaningful in that it satisfies a customer need, a question, answer a question they may have, or resolve an issue they may have, and how it can have a lasting impact, be memorable, if you will. We're going to focus on customers, who they are, what they need and want, how they evaluate service, and how we can deliver M&M service. When it comes to customer service, it's the little things we do that we choose to do that make the difference when it's too late to do anything about it. And I believe that little things make the big difference. So this session is going to focus on little things that I think do make a big impact on the relationship with our customers. And I know within a group of this size, or generally any group, there are people who have attended sessions on customer service in the past. Some of you may be relatively new to it. So my challenge is to bring something to the table that can hopefully resonate with each of you. And I hope within the context of today, there is one thing that you can leave with. Because whenever I attend a session or a workshop or a webinar, if there's one little thing I can leave with, it was of value to me. So we're going to focus on what I call the ABCs, very simple things. The ABCs consist of attitudes. Attitudes are how we feel about things, ourselves, our families, our job, everything about us. Attitudes come from inside. Behaviors are how we express our attitudes, what we do, and how those attitudes manifest in our relationships with others. And finally, the connections we make with our customers, with our patrons. And I'll use the word patrons and customers interchangeably because in many areas that's the way it is today. I believe the library is a place where we conduct business. And our customers are the people we do business with. Now, it's not the kind of business that's a business for profit. I realize that. But the same principles and practices that apply to the business of making money apply to the library as well. And the things that we do and say in the business world to help cultivate loyal customers apply to the library experience. As a matter of fact, I've seen more and more and heard more and more business terms being used in the library landscape. Words like competition, and there is competition for our services. Whether it be other libraries, whether it be the internet, bookstores, there is competition. We need to be aware of that. And then there's return on investment. That's a business term we've all heard of. When it affects the library, it means the community is looking at what are they getting for their dollars that are being invested in the library. And then there are assets. The library is an asset to the community. You are an asset to the library. The most valuable asset the library has are its customers, because without those customers, the library is out of business. The things we'll chat about today that I'll share with you, and I'm just sharing some ideas with you, apply to both two types of groups. One we call external customers. Those are the people of the community who avail themselves of the library's services. They may be seniors, young adults, children. They may be visitors to the community, but they're not people who work at the library. The internal customers are the people within the library organization, the staff members, people who you may rely on, who may rely on you during the course of the day, who become customers of you and you become customers of them. We are all, we are all customers. And the concepts and techniques apply to both groups. Before we begin to look at some specifics, I think it's important to look at the needs that all people have. Some of our patrons may be difficult, challenging, they may be needy, they may be very friendly and helpful, but they're all people. And as people, they all have needs. Needs such as these, which are fundamental, basic needs that I think is important for us to be aware of. Because without understanding these, being aware of them, and delivering service that resonates with these needs, we're not being as effective as we can be. Different people respond differently to different needs. And as you think of this list, I'm sure there may be one that responds to you or resonates with you more than others. Closely connected to needs are the wants we have. How we want to be treated is the focus of today. And here are some words that reflect the manner in which I believe service needs to be delivered. There are many needs, there are many wants, there aren't a huge number. But I wonder if you would think of what would you guess would be what customers want most from their service experience. There may be times I'll ask you to participate today. If you'd like to take a shot at guessing, seeing if you can come up with the one thing that people want most, enter it in the chat box. Research was done a few years ago by the Gallup organization. Those are good guesses. Tracy and Paul, those are good. By the way, there are some words I'm not going to get into today. I'm not going to talk about quality. I'm not going to talk about satisfaction. I'm not going to talk about professionalism. They're too vague. I want to get under those and look at the elements that make up quality, professionalism, and service. But the Gallup organization, a few years ago, did a survey of customers in a wide range of fields to determine if there was one thing that they wanted most from their service experience. Of course, they want a positive experience, but the one thing that they wanted was help or assistance, an answer to a question, whatever it might be, from the first person they speak with. We call that one and done. How frustrating it has been for me, and I'm sure each of you, when you've gone or made a phone call requesting some service information and you've been put on hold, and one or more other people have gotten to be involved in providing the answer to a question or delivering service. Now I realize it's not practical, feasible for every question or concern to be answered by the first person, but there are many instances where it can be. And as we look at quality and quality improvement, even at the library, and review our policies and procedures, wherever possible, where we can reduce the number of steps perhaps from 3 to 2 or 2 to 1, we're more matching what customers want today with what we deliver. Let me give you an example. I had the occasion to speak with a library director of a large university several months ago, and after speaking with her, she wanted me to send some information to her regarding my workshop program and wanted to see some samples of the materials I used. And I realized after I hung up from the conversation, I had her phone number and email address. I did not have the address of the library. Well, being too embarrassed to call her back, I dialed the main number of the library, and all I wanted was the address of the library. So the first person who picked up the phone was very pleasant, and I said, gee, I just need the address of the library. I need to send something to the library director. And this was that person's response. Well, sir, I'd be happy to help you, but I need to put you on hold so I can get that information for you. Well, that seemed kind of odd to me. A few seconds later, which seemed like a few minutes later, she came back on the phone and said, sir, I want to make sure you get the correct information, so I need to transfer you to information services, and they'll be able to help you with that. Now that took 2 steps, one of which it seemed to me was unnecessary. So things like directions to the library, the name of a reference librarian, or the director, or a schedule, or the library's hours, are some things that could be readily available at the desk for the first person that answers the computer, for those situations that don't require specific help from another person. One and done. Wherever possible, reduce the number of steps to as close to one and done as is feasible. Loyal library customers, of course, are the most valuable to any organization. Here are 3 reasons why loyal library customers are valuable to the library. First of all, they don't spend more money as loyal customers do in stores and other places outside of the library, but they have an opportunity to use more services. You know, the first time a customer enters a business, it's a very costly experience for the business. Companies spend 5 to 10 times as much to get someone to come in their door the first time as they do to keep them coming back. So the first-time visitor to the library represents an opportunity for us to expose them to the other great services that are available to the library, that add value to the library. That first-time visitor today may be someone coming in for help with resume preparation or using the internet, or it may be a grandparent bringing a grandchild in for a story time. What a great opportunity to introduce those people to other services of the library. Another value of loyal customers is that they're easier to serve. People you've gotten to know over time, that you become friends with, more than just acquaintances with. It's a much more friendly experience and a more delightful experience for both of you. And finally, loyal customers become a free source of advertising for the library, almost ambassadors for the library. So those are 3 reasons why loyal customers are the most valuable kind. But you know, there are times that we lose customers. And what I'd like to share with you is a chart that illustrates the 6 factors that account for customer defections, if you will. And I think a lot of this applies to the library. So let's take a look at the reasons why people stop coming back. The first reason is that, well, they do die, or they move, or they may form a new business relationship that may not be that directly applied to the library, and there is competition, of course. Now, of these first 4, we have very little impact. Let's focus on the 2 factors that are most significant. First is dissatisfaction. What can people become, dissatisfied with? Well, when it comes to customers' dissatisfaction, one thing is the product. Have you ever purchased a product that was defective, didn't quite match up to your expectations, didn't quite work well, just didn't meet your needs in the way you thought it might? Have you ever thought of the library as a product, your department as a product that customers have expectations for? Think about it. And then in addition to the product, there are the people. Were they friendly? Were they courteous? Were they kind? Were they fair? Were they considerate? Were they empathetic? Or did they have a poor attitude? And the third factor accounting for dissatisfaction is the process of doing business. At the library, it could be as simple as, how easy is it to get a library card, to reserve a room, to get an answer to a question, to log on to the internet? Is it easy or is it time consuming? These are the 3 factors that generally account for customer dissatisfaction. As you look at this, which of these 3 do you have an impact upon? I think you'll see that all 3 somehow we affect. But there is one factor. 68% of the reason people don't come back is based upon the attitude of the supplier. We talked about the ABCs. There are many attitudes we're going to explore during the course of this hour, but there is one attitude that drives people away more than anything else. Would anybody like to take a guess at it and put it in the chat box? That attitude is an attitude of indifference. Yes, apathy, not my job. That could be. So nice to see some of you got this and understand the importance of not demonstrating indifference. What is indifference? Indifference means they don't care about my question, my concern, my issue, my complaint, whatever it might be. Indifference drives more people away from the library, from businesses than anything else. One level above dissatisfaction is mistreatment. Here's what happens when a customer feels mistreated. Only 5% will tell you. Most of them will never come back, and they'll tell their friends, their relatives. I call those potential customers. They'll actually badmouth you, and as a matter of fact, they will actually enjoy telling 10 to 25 others. The cumulative effect of this is that 250 people will hear about it. Can we quantify this? Well, the largest retail, most successful retail business in the world is Walmart. And the chairman of Walmart once spoke to his management group. I saw a video of this presentation where he said that for every customer who feels mistreated by an employee at Walmart, we lose $250,000 in potential business. Now, I don't know of anyone who's going to spend $250,000 in business, but if 250 people hear about a bad experience where someone felt mistreated, those 250 have the potential to spend over time $1,000 each. That's how significant each customer experience is to the Walmart organization. So how do customers evaluate service performance? Two professors at Texas A&M University studied this. We all have, they determined, a subconscious set of criteria by which we evaluate service performance. And they boiled those criteria down to 5 items, 5 words which express them. They rearranged the 5 words to form the acronym RATER, basically how we rate service performance. Would anyone like to guess what the first word is, which happens to be the most significant of the 5 factors? That's a good guess. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Marlies? I hope I said that correctly. Or Marlies? Respect is extremely important, but the criteria by which most people evaluate service performance as the most important is reliability. What is reliability? Reliability is accuracy, consistency, dependability. Reliability means opening and closing the library on time, not 5 minutes early or 5 minutes late. It means providing your paychecks in an accurate form, when you expect it, on time. Reliability means when you have an appointment in person or on the phone, be ready, be prepared. Never make a promise you can't keep, and always keep the promises you make. Here's an example of something that is not reliability. Again, it was not in Florida, but I actually called, excuse me, the director of a library in a major U.S. city and received the following telephone message, which variations of which we've all heard. Thank you for calling. Your call is very important to me. If you'd kindly leave your name and your phone number and a brief message, I'll be sure to get back to you within 24 hours. That was months ago. I'm still waiting. I'm sure other people are waiting for that return call. That is an example not of reliability. That's a promise that was not meant to be kept. Be aware. The second criteria is assurance. Assurance means knowledge, trust, confidence, competence. It means knowing what you're talking about, having accurate answers to questions, being able to explain things in sensible manner to patrons. Assurance is nothing more than peace of mind. And then there are tangibles. Tangibles are those little things that make a big impression in the mind of a customer. Things like our appearance of the workplace, of our workspace. It means things like if there are any live plants, are they well watered, or they look like maybe they withered away and died several months ago, and no one bothered to take care of them. If there's an aquarium, can you see the fish in them, or is it all filled with algae? Are the displays neat and arranged? Notifications on bulletin boards, are they neat and organized like they're important business communications, or they look like a project for a preschooler? Those are tangibles. Imagine going into a doctor's office, a specialist that you've been recommended to, and sitting down and picking up a magazine, and the latest edition of any magazine in his office was a year or a year and a half old. Would you wonder about what else is he not keeping up on? So little things like that make a big impression. Empathy. Empathy is nothing more than caring and attention, putting yourself in the other person's shoes, especially today with so many people hurting, with these difficult economic times and people coming to the library needing assistance with job search, with resume preparation, with using the computer. What a great opportunity for us to expand the usage of the library and to demonstrate empathy and encourage these people to come back. Finally, responsiveness. Responsiveness is how quickly we're willing to help. So these are the 5 criteria. Again, there aren't 100 of them. And wherever we can deliver service that addresses these in one way or another, we're being more effective than not. Here are some examples of things that happen every day at the library and how Rater connects with them. As you look at these, just think of which of those Rater criteria they may connect with. And there may be more than one. Well, when we deliver service, attitude is the first thing people notice. And we've heard this term before, attitude is everything. So what is attitude? Well, attitude, the dictionary I referred to, described it as our emotional response to people, places, events, and ideas. Attitude is basically how we feel about things, and it comes from inside. Why is our attitude so important as we work with our customers at the library? Well, attitudes leave impressions, and impressions last. And what I mean by impressions, I'm talking about the mental impression, the memory of what it felt like the last time I needed assistance at the library, the last time I asked for help, whether it was with replacing paper in the copy machine, getting a library card, having a soap put into the restroom where it may not have been. Attitudes leave impressions, and impressions last. And that affects how people act. Attitudes determine our actions, and based upon the last person that was interacted with at the library, that could determine how someone will act the next time they need the same assistance. Will they go to that library somewhere else? Or if they go to that library, would they seek out someone different who perhaps did not treat them with the disrespect they saw last time? Or would they seek out the person who was very helpful, very empathetic, very understanding, listened well? Attitudes are contagious, especially our attitudes. Our job, I think, is to focus on the healthy ones, those that are worth catching. So let's look at attitudes. For simplicity's sake, I've divided attitudes into 2 categories. I'll call them healthy attitudes and deadly attitudes. Here are some healthy attitudes. When it comes to healthy attitudes, these are the kind of attitudes that connect in a positive achieved without enthusiasm. Please hold on for a moment. I'm sorry, I'm back. Chris, if you need to speak with me, please call me again. If not, send me a chat. In the chat box. A smile. Again, the first thing a customer notices is our facial expression, smile or lack of it. So let's take a look at a smile and look at why it's so important. Here are some smiles. There's tremendous power in a smile. I'm not suggesting that any of these images reflect your customers, but I wanted you to experience the power of a smile. So what is a smile? Smile is a change in facial expression involving brightening of the eyes and upward curving of the mouth, indicating pleasure. It's a good thing. A lot going on in a smile. That's the noun form of a smile. There's also the verb to smile, which means to look upon with favor or approval. Why is a smile so important to us and to our customers? Well, let's look at a few smiles. I took this photograph outside of a Walmart near my home. Sam Walton, the founder of Walmart, instituted, embedded in the culture of Walmart, his 10-foot rule. That was one of the secrets of Walmart's success. And basically, the 10-foot rule says whenever you come within 10 feet of a customer, greet them with a friendly smile and ask if you can help. I think the same thing applies to the library. If it can work, and it's worked for 50 years, they're celebrating their 50th year right now. If it can work for the most successful retail business in the world, it can work for us as well. Here are some other examples of smiles you may have seen. If they weren't important, you wouldn't see them in business. So what are the benefits of smiling? Why smile? Well, first, a smile expresses a friendly attitude. We know how important that is. It's also healthy for us. It helps produce serotonin. There is a chemical in the body that is naturally produced in the brain. It's called the feel-good drug. And medical research has found that when we smile, the level of serotonin in our body increases. They also found that the person we smile at, it increases in them as well. And they also determined that anyone in the room who notices that, anyone in the environment who sees that, it has the same positive effect upon them. So when your customers see you smiling at other customers, and when they see you in a pleasant mood, smiling as you interact with your colleagues and coworkers, it's a very good thing. As a matter of fact, there was some research done in the Boston area a few years ago, and they determined, not surprisingly, that people like to live next to happy people. A smile can also reduce tension and stress. And I'm talking about a sincere, genuine smile. Many times during the day, you may have a potentially stressful situation in dealing with an issue. A smile as the first response, the first thing a customer sees, can often deflect, reduce tension, and set the stage for a meaningful resolution of an issue. It basically says, without saying anything, it's okay, it's going to be all right, I understand. A smile uses fewer muscles than a frown. I've heard it said that it takes 21 muscles to frown and 7 to smile. So why work that hard? And it usually gets a smile in return. That's a good thing. I smile at everyone. A sincere, genuine smile. Doesn't even have to be a smile where my teeth are showing. Usually I'll get a smile in return. And it's a great way of acknowledging and being acknowledged. And it's a healthy thing. If you're not sure that you would get a smile in return, I suggest this evening when you go to bed, go into the bathroom and look in the mirror and smile. And if you don't get a smile in return, there's something seriously wrong. And finally, a smile is universally understood and accepted. People come to our libraries, our communities from different cultures, from different parts of the world, speaking different languages. But one thing that everyone understands is the language of a smile. And it speaks directly and positively to several of those needs that people have. The need to be accepted, acknowledged, appreciated. Well, in addition to smiling, we do have to speak, and words have tremendous impact. I'd like to suggest to you some words to use and some words to lose. I wish we had more time to go into greater detail on this, but for now, let me share with you that words to use, I like to consider those as kind of transition words. Words that you may choose to use in response to a customer's question, inquiry, anything. For example, where's the restroom? I know we can all tell where the restroom is. It might be down the hall to the left. But when someone asks, where's the restroom? It may, I believe, it can elevate the response by saying, I'd be happy to tell you, it's down the hall to the left. It only takes a second or two. Where's the director's office? It's upstairs. No. Be my pleasure to tell you, it's upstairs. Little things like that make a big difference. When it comes to policy, explaining a policy. For example, I'd like to get a new library card. Well, certainly, I'd be happy to help you. We require 2 forms of ID, or whatever it may be at your library as its policy. If someone asks, well, what's the reason for it? I think a customer deserves more of an explanation than that's our policy. I don't expect you to know every one of your library's policies and procedures, but for everyday things like getting a library card, or something as simple as that, or why the time on the computer is limited, there is a simple, explainable reason that is more meaningful than resorting to that's the policy. You see, when we explain, when we give reasons for things at the library, we become an educator rather than an enforcer of policy. Here are some words, some of which we use very innocently every day. And I'd like to suggest to you that as you think about your job, your department, there are many situations during the day where we find ourselves saying or responding to a customer with, you'll have to, you need to. Let me give you 2. I'd like to get a new library card. Well, as I travel around the country and deliver workshops and meet library personnel, most of the time people will say, well, you need to show me 2 forms of ID, or you'll have to show me 2 forms of ID. Using the word you as the first responding word can put a barrier between us and our customers. And in reality, it's the library that requires 2 forms of ID, or we require 2 forms of ID. And when someone may ask why, well, here's the reason. And you can explain the reason instead of it's our policy. I don't know what your library's policy may be regarding cell phone usage, but it's certainly more effective to say, if you see someone on the phone or using the phone or attempting to use the phone, and it's a very natural thing today, to go over to them, show a little empathy. See, I realize you're about to use the phone, or I see that you're on the phone, But the library has a policy of cell phone usage in a certain area or outside, and the reason is that it can be disturbing to other customers, rather than you have to get off the phone. You need to get off the phone. You can't use that phone here. Those are just a couple of examples where substituting other words rather than you have to or you need to, whether it's I or the library or we, is a much more friendly and effective way of dealing with a variety of situations. And I just urge you to think of everyday situations that occur in your department, whether it's somebody who wants to sign up for a computer, you know, or you need to fill out your name you need to sign up on the sheet. Well, as opposed to that, a much more customer friendly and desirable way, raising the bar is, well, we have a sign up sheet and you can fill it out right there. I don't mind using the word you as long as it's not the first word that comes from us in response to a customer inquiry. Words to use, some of those can complement and enhance a smile. Two of the most valuable words to use when it comes to dealing with people are thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There are opportunities every day to thank people at the library. A sincere thank you expresses a healthy attitude, resonates with customers' needs, and connects us, again, with customers. There are opportunities every day at the library to thank people for something, for asking, for waiting, for noticing, for cooperating, for letting me know. For example, someone may approach you and say, oh, there's no paper in the copy machine. Well, instead of, oh my God, I'm sorry, a simple thank you for letting me know. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I'll take care of it is much more effective. And when it comes to things like that, whether it be paper in the copy machine or perhaps the need for paper or soap or something in the restroom, please never blame someone. For example, when it comes to the restroom, oh, gee, the night crew must have forgotten. Or, gee, the people who were at the desk last night probably forgot to put paper in the copy machine. That's passing the blame. Not good. We say in the service business, fix the problem, not the blame. And a little gentle, sincere thank you can go a long way toward accomplishing that. Look for opportunities to thank people for something, even if it's for a complaint, a suggestion, just for letting you know about something. It is not a big deal unless we make it a big deal, and people will notice the difference. As you look at this screen, just think of an appropriate thank you. Thank you for something, for each of the following. Because of time, I don't expect you to enter anything in the chat box, but just look at these and think of one or two appropriate thank yous. Excuse me. As the first response, thoughtful thank yous make people feel really special. I'd like to share with you a very thoughtful thank you I received after giving a talk to a group of women business people in the Boston area about 12 years ago. I received this check in the mail. I hope you can all make it out. It's made out in the order of 1 million thanks, written from this person's personal thanks account. How personal, how creative, how thoughtful, how very special it made me feel. Thank yous are valuable assets that enhance customer relationship accounts. Just like a bank account, the more thank yous we enter into it, we place in it, the more we are building up a relationship account. And just like smiles, assets can build up an account with customers because, like a bank account, sometimes we need to draw from it. We need to dip into that account when something goes wrong. The larger the account, the more we have available when the time may come to utilize that. Would anybody like to take a guess at who offered the big thank you of 2011 for the joy, the laughs, the lessons, the adventure of a lifetime. Thank you. Who said that? It was Oprah. And on her 25th anniversary magazine, the emphasis was on thank you, appreciation, acknowledgement. What really delights customers? What is the one thing that delights customers more than anything? I've come to the conclusion it's a surprise. A surprise being something unexpected, of the pleasant variety. Like the surprise we get when we perform or see magic. The unexpected. And I'd like to define customer magic as making a good impression counts. And I believe we have within every customer interaction 3 opportunities to make a good impression. The first impression comes in how we connect with customers. Do we offer a friendly smile and a pleasant greeting? Do we use their name whenever we know it? Do we address them in a manner that they prefer, whether it's first name or Mr. or Ms.? Second good impression comes in how we contribute to their need, how we answer their question, how we help them find something, how we help them reserve a room or get on a computer, whatever it might be, what we actually do for them. And the final impression can be made in how we conclude that interaction. Do we thank them for coming to the library? Do we offer a pleasant conclusion to that? Do we wish them a pleasant day? Please bear with me while I just pause. Everyone, the reason I paused this is that it seemed there are still a few of you that are having audio issues, and Chris was just communicating with me. So if anyone is still having audio issues, I apologize. I don't know what the issue may be, but please indicate in the chat box, and Chris will do whatever he can to correct the situation. And again, there will be a copy of this. I don't know if the audio is being recorded, but there will be a copy of this at the available to you. When it comes to concluding an interaction, more and more I see at places of business that not only is there a greeter and a pleasant smile offered whenever we enter, but today more than ever I see upon exiting, there's someone, good, the webinar is being recorded, so you'll be able to hear the audio as well after the session. Thank you, Luli. Something for you to think about. Whenever I leave a business today, most businesses, whether it be Target, whether it be Home Depot, or whatever, someone generally will say, "Sir, did you find everything you were looking for?" And when I say yes, as most of us probably do, that usually ends the conversation. I'd like you to think of the following and see if you're comfortable with it. See if you would like to try it. Someone leaving the library, or someone leaving your department or your desk. Did you find everything you came to the library for today? They may say yes. If they say no, well, that certainly is an opportunity for you to offer additional assistance. But when they say yes, try the following. I'm so glad you did. I'm so happy to hear that. I'm delighted that you did. Have a good day. Just a suggestion for you. We make impressions in person by our facial expression and language. We make impressions on the phone. I'd like to share with you a few phone impressions. The first one I'm not suggesting you do, but I want to share with you because I think it was a very creative initial response when the phone is answered by the Hard Rock Cafe. My son had the occasion to call, had a service issue, and here's what he received. Thank you for calling the Hard Rock Cafe. My name is Rachel, and how can I rock your world today? I'm not suggesting we do that at the library. It's not appropriate. But it shows some creativity, it shows some thought about the customer and the customer experience. Here are a couple of examples of some automated greetings that I experienced personally and that impressed me. First, from Sandusky, Ohio. I like the language in this automated telephone greeting. I'm not recommending it, I'm just showing you an example of where I think some thought was put into it. Thank you for calling the Sandusky Library. If you're not comfortable using our automated attendant, please dial 0 and an operator will assist you. And then there's this one from the Sarasota County Library. In Sarasota County, congratulations to them. They received the award this year of the Florida Library of the Year. I called the main number of the library on a day that was a holiday and got this message. What was interesting to me, and I was curious, is that I dialed several of the other branches. Each branch had its specific name mentioned, but the message was consistent. And I think consistency is very important in developing assurance and confidence in the part of a customer. In addition to being the impressions we make in person and on the phone, we make impressions in our email messages. The challenge with email is that we only have the words to use and how we construct those words in our message. The recipient cannot hear us or see us, so the intent as well as the content can be transferred and make impression. Here is an example. What impression do you think is made on the part of the person receiving this email? It's very short, it's very to the point. Thanks, Tracy, for your comment. Anyone want to respond in the chat box to this email message? What do you think the impression is made? That is made. Do you think this reflects any respect for the staff? Does it show any appreciation for the staff? Do you think it projects a positive attitude? You're right. You're right. It is ominous. And do you think the people attending that meeting will come with a healthy attitude, prepared to share, and feel like they are appreciated? Probably not. But here is an example of how the same issue can be dealt with in a more customer-friendly way. Here we see how dealing with the same issue, the impression that is made reflects appreciation, respect, and a lot more from the part of the director to his or her staff. And I suspect that people attending this meeting will come with a very healthy attitude, wanting to share their thoughts and know how things can be improved. I'd like to share one email I received. This is an actual email. Again, it speaks to the little things that make a big difference. It's only an email communication that I received after sitting down with a library director to discuss possibly doing a live workshop for her staff. It was not in Florida. All I did was remove the person's name, but the rest of it, grammatically, punctuation-wise, is exactly as I received it. You'll notice at the beginning it says no subject. Most people delete email messages that say no subject. You may respond to this email with different thoughts, but the one word that resonated with me as I looked at this was sloppy, careless. And I wondered how sloppy this person would be afterwards to see how I got paid in a timely manner. But there's just these few words, to me, were the only example I had of how this person cared. And it wasn't a big leap for me to think of what else does this person or is this person sloppy about? So when it comes to emails, some reminders for you. Check them often. People expect a prompt reply. Now, you may not have the exact answer, Thanks, Catherine, for those comments, and you as well, Paul. Check them often. Make meaningful impressions. Think about what you put down in words because, as we mentioned in the first slide, when it's too late to do anything about it is when we hit the send button. At that point, it's too late to do anything about it. I will check for grammar, punctuation, and depending on the email or the recipient or the nature of the content, I may have to read it aloud to someone and ask them if I am communicating the intention that I am intending, actually, the impression I am intending for this message. So what does it take to deliver what I call M&M service? Service that's meaningful and memorable, that cultivates customer loyalty. I believe it takes nothing more than practice. Practice, practice, practice. You know, athletes practice, musicians practice, doctors practice, lawyers practice. And I believe we who work at the library can practice a number of things, little things that make lasting impressions, like a friendly smile, pleasant greeting, perhaps some words to use that just raise the bar in delivering service, and a sincere thank you. These are some things we looked at today. For some of us, it's review. For some, it's reinforcement. For some, it's a reminder. Practice takes dedication, it takes effort, time, and patience. And I urge you to be patient with yourself because if there was something in today that resonated with you that you'd like to integrate into your way of doing business at the library, be patient with yourself. You may make a mistake, you may slip. That's okay. It does take effort and it does take patience. But practice separates the ordinary from the exceptional, and it develops habits of performance. And just as many of us are in the habit of doing something, it takes time to replace habits with new habits. It's all part of continuous improvement and learning and change and growth. And change is necessary for growth in a healthy way. It was Aristotle who said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence is not an act, but a habit. We have opportunities every day to practice, practice, practice by ourselves, with friends, with customers, with coworkers, with everyone. I practice my smile, I practice my thank yous, I try to be specific in my thank yous just to get into the habit of making my thank yous more specific. And what happens over time, once a new habit becomes part of us, we actually can free ourselves to really focus on our customers and their needs and not even think about some of the things we shared today. Practice, then, helps cultivate loyal library customers, the kind that keeps coming back, that keep coming back. So I want to thank you for being such a good audience, for your comments that you made in the chat box, for those of you, especially those of you who participated. Yes, it's not easy. It does take time. It does take dedication, Catherine. You're absolutely right. But the difference will show up. You'll feel better. You'll enjoy your job more in little ways that'll be noticed by your customers and by you. Are there any questions that any of you have about any of the topics that we explored today? Please enter them in the chat box. We have a few minutes left. I'll be happy to entertain anything in the few minutes I have. Again, I regret that there were some of you who had some issues with the audio. However, again, it is being recorded. It will be available. One other point of business, there is I guess, an evaluation form. I'm not sure if it will be sent to you or it is available on the website, but I encourage you to go to that form. Please fill it out. It helps me to improve what I do, and it gives me a good feeling in terms of whether I'm resonating with some of the things that are important to you today. It's been a pleasure. This is my first webinar with Swiftlin. I want to thank Luli and Chris for putting it all together. I hope it was an enjoyable and valuable experience for each of you, and I hope we have an opportunity to meet again and to share more ideas. Thank you. Thank you, Connie. Thank you, Luli. Evaluations will be sent via email. To all of you, have a great afternoon. And again, I appreciate your time. Goodbye now.